Hello. I don't usually, actually, I've just stopped making videos altogether because, well, work. I'm now going back to school. Look, you guys don't need all of it, right? Come on. I just stopped, but things. Not only that, but I'm trying to figure out how to start my own company. I really love games. I have a lot of opinions about games. As you guys noticed, I do play games every so often and stream them on Twitch, on the channel when I feel I have time. Now, I know everyone knows that I'm kind of a cheater on games, but no one really cares because I only do that in single player games and I don't do that on multiplayer games and stuff. I'm not good enough to play the games normally as intended. It's just I just don't see why I need to do so if I don't wanna. So yeah, let's get anyways. Um oh my god, the Ubisoft Shadows thing. This is, by the way, this is not going to be the first. This is not going to be the first time this happens. This is going to happen with every other company. It's Ubisoft is just going to be the first. Well, it's not even the first one, right? It's not even the first one, but it's gonna be the first AAA that's gonna happen. EA is the only reason EA is living right now is because of the crazy people who actually buy the FIFA every year that they churn out. So, well, let's just get into this video. I'm gonna be commentating a lot because I have a lot to to bounce back off of on Legendary Drops video. I will make sure that when I post it that I will be putting Legendary Drops. Actually, watch them. I love them. I always give a thumbs up whenever you can. So yeah, um, I pre-watched like half of this video. Okay, I was like, by the way, I didn't pre-watching it intending to make a video, but I think there was enough for me to talk about that it would have been worth the check, right? Because I never want to talk. I don't want to ever talk out of my ass, and I always want to talk about things I know about. So let's get right into this.
Things at Ubisoft are far worse than I ever could have imagined. After my last video chronicling the rise and fall of Ubisoft, I had both current and former Ubisoft.
Wait, I think you're not hearing the audio. Why is that? Oh, I think it's because the audio is not from headphones. Is that better? Wait, let's see.
Soft developers.
Yep, that's way better. We gotta lower that volume. Alright. Hey, look, technical difficulties. Whatever. It happens.
Reach out for comment. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the issues that the studios face today from the perspective of their own employees. Everything from Me Too movement allegations to agenda-driven content. I want to contrast the comments made in these interviews with what we've seen from Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws. This company has a deep-rooted leadership issue, going as far to think that the vast majority of online criticism.
Well, I don't think it's only a leadership. Well, actually, it's probably majority a leadership issue, right? I think it's like a big swath of everything, right? Because there's a lot of game devs that also are as deluded as the leadership in Ubisoft, and this is not only in Ubisoft, right? Let's preface this. This is in every AAA company. They're all like this. This is why you're seeing all the what's it called, all the censorship. That's why you're seeing all the there's no more real games anymore. Well, I'm like, there are. Come on, Wukong came out, Black Myth, Final Fantasy finally came to PC. Yeah, anyway, there's a lot of good games that have come out. So core keeper, core keeper. I've been playing. I've actually been playing Stardew Valley. It's making me less stressed from work. So yeah, I didn't think I was gonna like that game, but I ended up doing so. So let's get back to this. Yeah. So this is going to be a big problem, and this is only the beginning, because Ubisoft has fucked up enough that now they are in the red, and so now they have to make. Well, now they can't even make it up. They fucked up so much, and the people in the leadership are so deluded that they're doing something righteous that they've fucked themselves, essentially. And well, that sucks for them, right? They did it to themselves.
Is just a toxic minority of gamers. This company and its leadership think that they are on the righteous path. Little do they know, it's a dead end. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been steeped in controversy and criticism since its initial reveal. Online discourse surrounding the game has been almost entirely negative, with long-term fans of the franchise, general audience, and Japanese audiences up in arms over the creative liberties that Ubisoft has taken with the depiction of Yasuke, the fabled Black Samurai, and feudal Japan.
I don't even think the problem is that Yasuke is a black guy and that he's a samurai. The problem is that they are trying to make him the protagonist to this story. And actually, the reason let me preface this first with, this has never happened before. This is literally new. And what I mean by that is that every other character for every other Assassin's Creed, by the way, I've played all of the Assassin's Creed games. Now, I haven't finished all of the games. I finished all the good ones, like Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed. I did finish Assassin's Creed 3, even though it wasn't that good. I played Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Oh, I played the shit out of that. That was so good. That was so good. And I also played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelations. See, Assassin's Creed Revelations I thought was shit and never finished it. Actually, I think I did go back to finish it. I just forgot. But I thought Brotherhood was where it was at, man. It was Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood. That was where it was at. That was the height. And then a Black Flag came out after that disappointment of 3. And oh man, it was so great. It was so great. That was the best time to be a gamer. Even though that's when they started coming out with a bunch of that microtransaction bullshit, but with like save maps and stuff like that. But let's I digress, right? Let's stop here and let's continue listening.
Japanese creators, as well as just random bystanders, have taken to Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube and Reddit, voicing their concerns offended by the game's representation of their history and culture. Inaccuracies like using Chinese architecture instead of Japanese, the legitimacy and relevance of the game's protagonist, Yasuke, and even going as far as stealing a flag and imagery from the Sekihara Teppo-tai.
This is such utter shamelessness. I can't believe they're doing this trash. It's funny. Asmongold often brings it up that this company is full of just white people, and it's rather funny that they're appropriating other people's culture when they're usually arguing about not doing that, and you shouldn't do that, and instead you should respect people's culture. Yet when it inconveniences them, they're willing to step all over someone else's culture and reappropriate it as long as it fits their safe agenda. And I always feel that's so bad. That's just so bad. It's, why are you even doing it? Like it's like just so much easier to make a game like from the past. Like, just why did you even need to try and change the formula for Assassin's Creed? I thought Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla had some merit. I didn't like the one that went to Egypt. I even forgot its name. Oh, it's Origins. Yeah, that's what it was called. It was so. People say it was good. I thought it was bad. I thought it was bad. They had their priorities in different places, like trying to make the best water, the physics. Like who the hell cares? And instead of like actually enhancing the game mechanics for the RPG, Odyssey I thought was a great foundation, which they should have just worked on and made it better. But instead, they made the game continuously more micromanagey, and including when you when you play the game Valhalla, it's just like a headache to play the game because you have to worry about so much things so that he is powerful and it's just it doesn't make sense because the Assassin's Creed formula doesn't fit into a level up into like the leveling system of an RPG game. It just doesn't fit really. The storytelling that they usually do doesn't fit in with it. And it's supposed to be Assassin's Creed. The hallmark for Assassin's Creed was the fact that you could just assassinate any character. Like it didn't matter your level, it just mattered your skill level in the game. Really, actually, it didn't even matter that. Like it didn't matter how good you were. You could even get a lucky into assassinating some guys. But it had you use the mechanics of the game to be the best player in the game. And not only that, it was single player, so who cared? You could literally play forever and figure it out. But yeah, let's just continue anyway.
Historical reenactment group where the company had to formally apologize for not asking for permission to use their materials. Ubisoft's adventure into Japanese history has been a complete disaster, and it's only going to get worse. On September 11th of 2024, an article was penned by the New York Times titled "The Fight Over a Black Samurai in Assassin's Creed."
I hate when they preface it this way. Like the fight is not over a black samurai. It's that the main male character is not Japanese as well. Like who cares if they have the female ninja? Like everyone, no one's mad about that. Everyone's mad about a lot of the inaccuracies, and obviously, Asmongold has stated this two to three times. You've stated that they're just like it's because they're making all these games. They're trying to make 10 games in a year every year, and then they expect for quality. They expect that everyone's gonna just throw their money as they keep increasing the price for games. It's it's like you're at a delusion. You're at such a diluted level that sense, like you don't make any sense anymore, right? Like they don't make any sense. It's like what do you? How can you believe that people are gonna throw their money at Assassin's Creed Shadows for $130 when you can't even get anything right in the game? Just like Asmund said as well, I'm gonna be repeating it. I'm gonna be quoting him a lot. Yasuke being black is gonna be the last, the last of everyone's worries, because like in just a couple minute trailer, I think it was like a 4 minute trailer. An actual Japanese person and another guy who was there to translate for her, even though she spoke pretty good English. That they saw all these inaccuracies. It was insane. It was like, wow, that's just 5 minutes. Imagine the entire game. That's just 5 minutes in a couple areas, by the way. 5 minutes in a couple scenes and a couple like snapshots of areas, and they got it wrong. They even got some architecture wrong, which you can tell they're getting these wrong is probably because they're copying and pasting assets from other places, and then they forget to fix them for they're repurposing. They're probably repurposing assets from other Assassin's Creed games, and probably increasing the resolution for them. I think it's called like super scaling or some shit. They're doing that, or upscaling. It's upscaling. They're upscaling it, and not only that, but probably putting it through an AI or something. And well, yeah, you see it fucked up. Well, let's continue.
The writer, Zachary Small, misrepresents the controversy and player concerns as merely those of a toxic minority of angry Western gamers, and the entire time he fixates on the race of Yasuke and not the broader implications at play in Ubisoft's mishandling and the frank disrespect for Japanese culture and history. This article was a collaboration between Ubisoft and the New York Times in an attempt to redirect the discussions surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows and minimize the feedback. The writer spoke with Kazuma Hashimoto, a consultant and translator for the games industry, later to be found out to be an employee of Sweet Baby Incorporated that did consultant work for Ubisoft. But Hashimoto claimed that
You gotta love the utter shamelessness of these people, right? Like they'll use any tactic. Like they're so shameless and underhanded. They'll use any tactic they can to try and try and persuade other people to be on their back. Like, oh look at this Japanese guy. He's the voice of the people too from Japan, and look at this one guy. This one guy is bringing out this article telling everyone else that the Japanese people aren't really that angry, that you have the main character, some black guy, some inconspicuous guy in their history who didn't really matter, and he was black. He just happened to be black. But he's the main character of this game, and by the way, we have this side character who's the female. If you're angry, because now she's Japanese, so you can play as her. Wait, what about all the male gamers that want to play a Japanese like guy in Japan? Oh well, who cares about them? They're obviously insensitive bigots, so we don't need a curry favor for them. What are you talking about? I'm sure this is their thought process, right? Because they're stupid, so they only think in simple terms, and even their schemes are simple and stupid, so you can kind of always see through them, and they can never realize that because they have such simple minds, and the things that they think about are so stupid, that when they're revealed, they just get like so dumbfounded, and they just get into like damage control mode, even though it's like they don't understand that when they do that, they end up like doing an AoE attack every time they get into damage control. Instead of like putting up a defense buff, they do another AoE attack, and the damage gets worse. Like it's like they're doing two times the damage on them. That's what happens. What happens is that they get a buff, and the buff is like deep enragement, and they start blasting off, and then they try and get into defensive position, but you're kind of doing two times the damage on them. Yeah, I know. I got into another one. Well, yeah. Anyway,
it was people in the West who were upset with seeing Yasuke as a samurai, and that many of the online negative comments were written in Japanese appeared to be roughly translated from English, effectively hand-waving the increasingly loud and valid concerns of the Japanese, asserting that it's all made-up outrage. Nothing more than the gamers' war against DEI or inclusivity in video.
it's kind of funny, right? Because all the problems that started coming up in the AAA gaming industry are because of DEI. Obviously it's not the intended. It's not DEI itself that's the cause, right? The cause is the people who these people pick are forced to choose because of DEI, right? So they're literally made to be intolerant and select everyone other than a white people to join the team, or at least they have to sign the cultist, the religious DEI book, and make sure that they're part of they're part of the bubble, right? And so all these people who are part of the bubble, they're all stupid and simple minded, and so they're very stupid. That's kind of all I have to say, right? Because it's self-explanatory, right? they do all this stupid shit, and then they're like, "Oh well, we're making games for us." It's like, yeah, but no one like you, no one likes you, and no one wants to play a game that you may like because you're stupid. And you're gonna come up with stupid ideas, and even if they're good ideas, you're gonna ruin them because you're stupid, and and because you're stupid, you're gonna make up stupid ideas to ruin the good ideas and make the and basically there's just so much stacks of negative. There's so much debuffs that it doesn't matter if the idea was good and it's like a good idea buff, but there's just so much stupid buffs stacking on each other that it doesn't matter how good the good buff is, right? It just gets you just destroyed by all the stacks of the debuff. Yeah.
Video games. I find it all too poetic and predictable for a AAA publisher to brush off player concerns and use their connections in the media to try to steer public discourse and sentiment into a favorable direction. All of these claims made by the New York Times, as well as other writers, are patently false. You can see the criticisms of Ubisoft's recent releases and the future release in Assassin's Creed Shadows everywhere. It's impossible to ignore. Videos and promotional material ratioed by dislikes and comments in mass numbers. Videos like mine and many others reaching widespread appeal because we have that many people that agree or share similar opinions. With that said, I couldn't imagine that it was possible for anyone to ignore this level of feedback, and Ubisoft has to be.
Oh, of course they're ignoring that level of feedback. They're stupid. What do you expect? They're stupid people who are in their little stupid bubbles, and they think they're better than everyone else. They think they have better ideas. They're just narcissists who think that they have a self-righteous cause. They're like cultists, right? They're like self-righteous cultists. They're on a crusade because every other member of the church that isn't a cultist is stupid, and so obviously the believers are going to be the gamers, and so all the believers are wrong because they're not following our doctrine, and because they're not following our doctrine, they believe instead of the god of games, instead of the god of DEI, and they don't like the pussified game, so that means they're wrong. They're bigots. They want instead hot and sexy females instead of these ugly fat people in their games, because they I don't understand how anyone can think that having an ugly fat person in your game is like a good thing. It's like something someone wants to see. It's so stupid. It's just like it's so dumb that even thinking about how stupid it is makes me feel like I'm losing brain cells. So we're going to continue.
Seeing it. So I spoke with a few developers from Ubisoft to shed some light on these issues. I started off by asking how Ubisoft internalizes and discusses general criticism from players and the rest of the.
This is how they do it. They don't. They don't. They don't even acknowledge it. It probably doesn't exist to them because, like I told you, they're stupid and they're simple-minded. And you know what stupid and simple-minded do? They do stupid things. And everyone who doesn't agree with them is wrong. So, and this is the simple solution to that. Everyone who disagrees with me is wrong, and because they're wrong, we're not going to accept their criticism, even if it's good criticism, because they're wrong, right? Because why would I accept the criticism if they're wrong? Let's just not even look at it. Actually, it doesn't. Why would I do that? It doesn't make sense. And then they're forgetting that all the people who they think is wrong and is stupid are actually the people who allow them to have jobs, because they have to buy their games, and because they have to buy their games, they have to still have a job because of that, because they pay for their rent technically. So it's like you imagine it's like you get home, you're the breadwinner of the family, and your family tells you to fuck off and kicks you out of the house, and then when they get evicted, they're like, why did this happen? How could this happen?
the industry, whether that's its repetitive design, agenda driven content, or predictable games. They responded saying, at a high level, they rarely talk about it. At a project level, they brush it off as toxic gamer talk. As Asmongold correctly pointed out in a video of his, Ubisoft is filled with toxic positivity that prevents any growth. I then asked, what about the Japanese community's backlash over Assassin's Creed Shadows? It's obvious that they haven't done their research, and even the smallest details are going to be noticed by a culture that's as proud as the Japanese.
Of course. Like, the oh my god, the Japanese, they're really prideful, like, for their culture. And, and they should be. They have a very, like, long and deep culture. And not only that, but they have people like a samurai. Not only that, they went through a bunch of stuff to unify and stuff like that. Like, of course they're proud. They have a deep and rich history. And, and not only that, but they still stick to their traditions, right? So, of course, they're going to be very prideful. And not only that, but they're a homogenous society of, only really Japanese people, majoritively, right? Because of course there are more foreigners moving to Japan, but it still doesn't single out the fact that majority of the people who live there are Japanese, and so they are basically patriots to their culture, and which makes sense. I think if you go to Germany and and you start dissing German, you start misappropriating German culture, the Germans are going to be angry. If you do this in England, they're going to be angry too. I don't know about that anymore because of what's happening over there, but logically they should be not happy with what's going on, and why are the questions that I'll be asked is, why are they doing this? They literally just need to read, study, and then just do what is said in the textbook. Why are they doing anything else? Did these guys not go to school and learn how to do these things? Like, all right, let's just go ahead and continue.
They responded by saying that the criticisms haven't been talked about, and they've only issued demands that we mustn't engage with discussion on that topic publicly. Meaning everything that we've said up until this point, all the criticism that we've had over the years for Ubisoft games, even that of the industry itself, has fallen on deaf ears. I don't know if it's sad or if it's somewhat cathartic to have that validated. I mean, it's the main complaint that the vast majority of gamers have had over the years, which is that these companies aren't listening to us.
Well, of course they're not listening to us. You know who the companies are listening to? They're listening to their marketing director and the soft people in their company, who are clouded by these like almost secular ideas. They're not secular, right? Well, I say secular because it's almost like they're a cult, right? With these soft that they have to censor everything, that they always have to be. Everything always have to offend them. Even like an exclamation point offends people. Like, it's really bad. It's so stupid. Oh no! Why are people this stupid? How can this happen? How are people this dumb? It always reaffirms my ideas that it's like you figure out that, nah, that's not even the bottom, man. This is a hole. There's a hole in the ground that doesn't end, and it only gets deeper, because then you figure out there's a new level of stupid. Because it's like any person with any type of sense would know, we're losing a lot of money. Yeah, and yeah, maybe we should like actually start listening to the people who pay our paychecks. Why would we do that? Oh, maybe because you want to keep a job. Well, it's okay. They're gonna play it anyways. It's like the defensive thought process that, oh well, even if you hand them shit, they happily eat it, right? So if you hand them even more, and you continue to do this, they're going to just keep on eating the slop, right? I don't know about that, man. I don't know. I don't know that's gonna happen. But that's what happens. That's what's not happening now. They're refusing to eat the slop. Now they're getting angry because of it.
In this case, I have developers that are telling me, yeah, they're not listening to you. One, because they don't want to take criticism, and two, because they don't know how to differentiate bad from good criticism. I think this is my patented catchphrase by now, but when you
Well,
have...
of course, these guys don't know how to critically think. How would they even, like, they're so stupid. How would they even know how to determine what good and bad is? They can't even decide that themselves. They work on feelings. How would you, if you work on your feelings, how the hell are you going to figure it out if something is good or bad? Everything is bad, and it's decided at a moment. So the only things that are good if you praise me, and not only that, but you affirm my values. Oh, you also agree with everything I say. It's almost like a yes men culture. It's so bad because it's funny, right? Because this is what used to happen back in the day, and then we stopped that, and now it's happening again, but in a different way. Because now it's both the employees and the leadership that are doing the yes men culture thing. You know, it's exhausting. That's all I have to say.
Have this much negative discourse surrounding your games, you need to be listening, regardless of whether or not it's good or bad feedback in your eyes, regardless if you align with these people's political beliefs or social political beliefs or whatever it might be. None of that matters. When you have your games on fire as much as Ubisoft games have been lately, you need to put those fires out somehow. And the only...
They don't know how to be firemen. How could they put out a fire if they don't even know if it's a fire? Like, they're like, what the hell is that? They're like, I don't know, it's bright, so that means it must be good, right? Yeah, that makes sense. And then, the other guy's like, oh, but I don't, yes, right, man? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we don't have to put it out. Put what out? What are you talking about? No, nothing. That's good. It's bright. It's yellow. It's orange. The euphoria.
only way that you can do that is by listening to them and implementing whatever feedback you possibly can into your games to make them better. Regardless, the other thing is, I'm sorry. I am disgusted by the blatant, feigned virtue over how much they care about Japanese culture and history. I'm sorry. You are bastardizing Japanese culture and history for profit. That's what you're trying.
Okay, this is where we need to correct you. They're not doing it for profit, okay? Well, technically they are, like, by a technicality through legal means, they are. But they're not doing this for money. They're doing this on purpose. Okay, we need to bring back, we need to step back a little bit, and we need to give them some, like, individual agency, all right? Every single leader person who's making the decisions for this are all doing it on purpose, and you can tell it's all intentional, especially with the with the internal statements from their CEO. Or I remember seeing that article. Well, obviously this is all intentional. I know, right? Who would intentionally put their garbage on fire? I don't know, but it seems like these guys do. I don't know why they would even hire these people. Like, what went through their minds? I think the first game that flopped, I would have fired the CEO right away. Like, and you know why I would have? Because they're not. They flopped on their. Well, no. Let's just preface this. I would fire the CEO after 3 games. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the old 3 times you're out rule, right? Because the first time, I understand. The second time, okay, what the fuck, man. The third time, yeah, you're out of here, man. You get out of here. Get out of here. Get out. I'll be throwing my chancletas at him, man. Like, get the hell out of here. You're costing us money. You're such a fool. But no, the board of directors, they were just accepting the slop that was getting all the PR talk that was getting handed to the board of directors. I think that the board of directors should have been suspicious of these people from the start. Like, I don't know what the board of directors were doing, but they sure held on. Like, I don't know what type of intuition these guys developed, but obviously they must have been really good at masquerading and telling them that, oh no, everything's just fine, even though like the building's burning, right? No, everything's all right.
Trying to do here. You're not trying to make a history piece. We know that. It's very loosely based on Japanese culture and history. Look at you guys. You put out a Torigate figurine, a half Torigate figurine with your characters on it without knowing the cultural relevance of the...
They don't care about the cultural relevance. That's what I'm telling you. They do all this on purpose. They probably searched up like Torigates, destroyed Torigates on Google. They saw this and they're like, oh, it looks really cool. Let's use that. I bet you that's what happened. Oh my god, I hope this is not what happened. I might start getting like a migraine, man. Like, just thinking about how stupid they are, how simple-minded they are, and how it's not that they aren't creative, but because of their mindset, they aren't anymore, right? Because only highly creative people tend to want to be different people. Well, I'm starting to get into psychology. Let's just not get there. Let's not go there.
Half Torigate? After Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Do you have any idea what that means to these people?
What? They don't know what this means to these people. These people are idiots, okay? They probably don't really have a good grasp of what war is or what the bombs actually do. Okay? Like, they thought they just like they're like, "Oh, you played that Fallout game? Yeah, that's probably not what actually happens." Like come on, these people aren't smart. A lot of people may disagree with me on this case, but obviously with the type of decisions they've been making, the very short-term business strategies a lot of these AAA companies have been going on, it's just utter incompetence. Don't get me wrong, they've been making a lot of money, but that's in the short term, because the problem is that they want to make all the money, and they can't. So it's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, who cares about these live service games?" Well, I think once there's enough of them, no one's gonna play any of them. They're only gonna play maybe one at best, but no one's gonna be playing three live service games. I try to get into live service games like Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail. I ended up falling off because it's not even worth playing this damn game. Because if it's not first, I don't have enough energy. It's like I'm a poor guy who can't play this game. I can't. It's a good game, but I can't even enjoy it because I'm poor. I'm just not going to even play the game. Why would I even play the game? What's the point? And don't get me wrong. If I wanted, I could drop like $100 or $200 every paycheck, but I'm not going to do that. It's a waste of money, because the next game is going to come out sooner or later, and then I'm going to want to play. I want to play that game, and then I want to buy some gems in that game, and it's just an endless cycle. So I just stopped. And yeah. Oh wait, I think I digressed too much. Okay, let's get back to the topic.
What's wrong with you? At the end of the day, it all comes down to leadership. When you look at Ubisoft's messaging, the lackluster delivery of titles like X-Defiant and Star Wars Outlaws, the inaccuracies and screw-ups with Assassin's Creed Shadows, you see a developer that has no clear plan or vision for what players want.
Oh no, but they have a clear plan and clear vision. Is the clear plan and clear vision is that they don't have one. It's not as deep as it's as deep as a puddle. Okay, their thought process is as deep as a puddle. They may create all these vistas. They may go out and go take pictures and then bring them pictures back and copy what the picture sees. Look at actually they can't even do that because look at the rice fields. They can't even do that right. So they can't even copy correctly or do enough research to to know how rice fields are supposed to do. And it seems like these people don't even really play games. Or if they do, the only games they play are Valorant and Overwatch. So, don't get me wrong, like Valorant and Overwatch aren't bad games, but if you're only playing those games and you're coming to make this type of game, what can you expect, right? And I'm sure there's probably really good games they like that offend them, but because they can't bring it in themselves to make any type of thing that offends them, they, they're never going to make a good game.
What good games look like, or how to even do their job. I took the time to talk to the Ubisoft developers about workplace culture, about the initiative that they've taken for diversity hiring, and what happens behind the scenes at Ubisoft. And it's wild to see how accurate some of the assumptions that have been made by myself and others. Now, continuing my conversation with one of the developers, I wanted to find more about the workplace structure and management. And seeing as though the company has had initiatives that have been put in place to make the workplace a little bit more diverse, I asked, what benefits have you seen? Is there more diversity?
I like how they're having every NPC that he passes by bow their head to him. I don't think they would have done that because he's a foreigner. Like so, even if he's employed by Nobunaga, it doesn't mean that the commoners would be welcoming to this guy, right? Because he's new. Now they would be interested in him, but I don't think they'll be as welcoming as they are here in this game. Of course, they couldn't do that because that might offend someone, right? Because oh, how can't they accept this black guy who comes to our country? To our homogenous country that we've never seen another black guy in our life, and this one guy we finally see. We're supposed to the only I think the only other people that they've ever seen are Dutch and they're white. So, so it's a little funny. It's a little funny
In thought, or
that they're like small details like that they can't even get right because they're so in their heads. It's it's just a little it's funny.
or is it creating a more one-sided environment? They said that so far the initiative hasn't had any impact on the team that I'm a part of. However, it's clear that some topics are taboo. What happened is now that people end up in a meeting with HR for trivial stuff, not adding smiley faces to a message or adding an exclamation point at the end of a message because some people are reporting it for harassment. One of the things that wasn't in your video is that Ubisoft had some controversy during the Me Too period, letting go of a manager in high positions, and some left on their own because they knew they'd be discovered. I then asked what was the impact of this in the workplace. They responded by saying the editorial direction and overall mindset shifted from the boys club to safe content.
I never understood where in their heads would they think that going to safe content was a good idea. What was making that money was the boys club. Why would you switch or shift anything? You know what they say, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, we can always fix company culture, but shifting everything to save content seems almost stupid, right? Because they're like Ubisoft is known for their controversial. They're now considered controversial, right? But they're good characters. Like if we looked at Far Cry 3 villain, the villain for Far Cry 3, And all the villains that we've had for Assassin's Creed, I would say for Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, they were good villains. And Assassin's Creed 1, the villain was good too. I'm not going to spoil it for everyone, but the villain was good as well there, because you didn't even know that the person was a villain, and you ended up finding out that they were, which is great. It's just like it's great. Um, but they're not doing that anymore. They're not making good stories. And they can't even do anything with all the IP. That means they can't ever truly utilize any of the IPs they have, because they can't offend anyone. And if you're not ever wishing to offend anyone, that means you're never going to risk to make a good game, right? So, yeah, that's the end of that.
Reaching for plain characters like Kay in Star Wars is a perfect example of this. The idea to have beautiful characters such as Baldur's Gate or Uncharted is met with distrust. The developers
That's why all the people that you see in here are ugly, or they're generic looking.
shared sentiment saying that safe content also leads to limited opportunities on the gameplay side.
Or to be safe, they're all old, right? So they can't be technically considered attractive because they're all old. They've reached the end of their lives, so they're not going to look as attractive as if they were young. So these are the little deceptions that they're doing, that all the people you meet are either young, old, or average looking. And so, you know, and that's what they're going for, which is unrealistic and stupid.
Even for Star Wars, we had to work with Disney, which would have shut down most attempts at depicting a true criminal underworld with cruelty and drama. When you put this developer's perspective in line with the recent failures and controversies at Ubisoft or any AAA developer at this point, it all makes sense. An overcorrection in sensitivity brought on by the boys' club days that many studios experienced during their early years. As such, many games today lack the teeth and grit that players crave because those things are seen as problematic or unsafe to make in the workplace. Don't use emojis or exclamation points. You could offend someone. Holy shit.
My God, man, that's so fucking stupid. I utterly hate people like that. Like, how could you? Oh, like, no, I don't even want to think about it. That it might give me a headache because it's so stupid.
How soft have we gotten? It reminds
Oh, we've gotten really soft, man. As soft as mochi, man. Soft as mochi.
me of the time where the Helldivers 2 community manager went on a ban spree on their Discord because players were using a throw-up emoji on furry art that was posted in their Discord. Sometimes people need to be offended. While I'm going to try to resist the pull yourself up by your bootstraps tirade, friction on some levels is necessary in life. Now, that doesn't mean that people should be allowed to openly harass others, but there are major issues that arise when you have emojis that can get you fired. This overreaction and overcorrection leads to a workplace that is actively hostile towards freedom of thought, expression, and criticism. As one of the interviewees mentioned earlier, they noticed a culture of toxic positivity. From my perspective, toxic positivity is fake people saying fake things, and in the case of Ubisoft, making fake products. No,
Of course. What do you think? Like, it's not bad enough that they're stupid, but they're stupid people. They're stupid people in a bubble who regurgitate only stupid things to each other, and they're all two-faced too. So they're all scheming against each other. They can't wait until the other one offends them. Actually, they're probably actively looking for them to be for themselves to get offended so that they can report this person and they can feel superior after this person gets kicked out because no one's their friend. Like it's really bad. It's really bad.
Nobody wants to live their entire life being terrified that someone is going to misunderstand them. And when you're at a studio like Ubisoft and you're not even allowed to make characters attractive, otherwise it might upset people at the studio, you have a problem. This culture of fear and forced uniformity stifles creativity and innovation. It's no wonder that Ubisoft is struggling to produce anything of real substance when their own developers are walking on eggshells, more worried about HR complaints than creating groundbreaking games. How can you make bold, impactful content when every idea is scrutinized for being too risky, too offensive, or too unsafe?
Well, you know what happens is, well, we already know exactly what happens. Look at what's happening now to them. That's exactly what happens. They're a big ship that's all on fire. What happened is that there was a big ship. They had to kick out some really integral crew members. Then what happened is that we hired on incompetent people who are willing to look the other way when small fires are happening all over the ship. And then what happens is that the ship eventually cannot handle all the fires that are happening on the ship, and then it eventually goes down. That's what happens.
It's a workplace where mediocrity is rewarded and where pushing boundaries, the very things that games are supposed to do, is seen as a liability. This workplace culture, this overreaction and overcorrection has infected just about every single industry that's out there. I worked in construction for 7 years up until last December, and the company that I worked for was more afraid of HR issues than they were of injuries. We worked with hydrogen sulfide and hydrogen cyanide, gases that, if released, could kill half of a city. You know, we've discussed modern audiences, the mythical, magical modern audiences, and soft modern games. We found the audience is the people that are running these companies nowadays. You have folks that are walking around on eggshells, afraid to say anything. Anecdotal, but just like a few weeks ago or a month ago or so, I remember I was live streaming, and instinctively I said something was retarded. I'm a millennial. We all grew up saying it. It's a product of my upbringing. Say what you will. I didn't say it consciously, it just came out, and one of my chatters pops up and says, "How often do you say that word?" I banned the fuck out of them.
Good job. I was about to say, like, you should have banned his ass. What are you asking stupid questions for?
Get the fuck out of here with that. Are you kidding me? People that are out there that are waiting, prepared to be offended. I'm sick of it. You cannot have workplaces that are out there where every single thing that you say, you have to watch every word that comes out of your mouth. Otherwise, it could be your livelihood. And I'm not saying that you can walk around saying anything. That's not what this is. Everybody knows. I think that's the most frustrating part when you have these kind of conversations, is that you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, like, obviously, right? There's certain conversations you can't have. Everyone knows what these conversations are, and they aren't oh, well, Sydney said this really mean thing on Saturday. It really hurt my... No one fucking cares, okay? Okay, no one cares. Just get off your platform. Who cares? Sydney said this bad thing that you think is bad, which isn't really that bad, actually. And now you're having this mental breakdown because she said this thing. And you can't even handle this. Like, shut the fuck up and go back to work. Like, go do something. Have you done that? Have you finished that project I gave you last week? That should be the question instead. But it's really these. And now I'm gonna tell you, as a person who has to deal with these DEI shit, it really is really bad. If you take any of the trainings that the DEI trainings that they have, all of them make it so that they let you know that even the smallest thing you can report. Not only that, but you can report on people's behalf. So it's like it's almost like you're in the Soviet Union and everyone is an informer. Because you can inform against something else that's not even like related to you, too. So you can. It's like a perceived injustice that you thought was upon the other person, but they didn't think it was injustice. So it's a bunch of bullshit. Actually, that makes no sense. So I'm not even trying to explain it. It sounds stupid, right? And it's exactly that. It's stupid.
But the intellectual dishonesty around this kind of thing is just, it's fucking mind-boggling. We have workplace environments that actively work against any type of creative or constructive criticism. That's how you get games like this. This is how games and products are being ruined over time, is because nobody's allowed to criticize things properly. You have people in the workplace that are like, I don't think that these characters are going to be received well by the fans, but they're not allowed to say anything about it. They can't say it's not hot enough. It's not masculine enough. They can't say that because it's problematic to say so. Tame.
Which is funny, right? Because they can't even explain why it's problematic that you think this. Instead, what they'll do is that they'll try and deflect and then attack you with words, which is funny, right? Because if you do that to them, they're going to report you to HR.
And safe are the antonyms of exciting and daring. Baldur's Gate 3 was exciting and daring.
Baldur's Gate 3 was fucking great, man. I played that game for like 3 weeks. It was good.
Star Wars Outlaws, tame and safe. Whether it's their poor job at representing Japan or the trailers of Assassin's Creed, there are clearly levels of incompetency at work. As many players have pointed out in the game trailers, the promotional materials that are meant to sell the game, you can...
I don't think, like, Star Wars Outlaws was so safe that it was bad. So I don't even know if you can call that safe anymore, right? Because what does safe even mean at this point? Like, wasn't it supposed to be that it's safe enough that when you sell it, people actually buy the game? Like, so, like, isn't it supposed to be in the context that it's safe so that we can keep our jobs? Because this is not safe anymore. This seems like more and more so dangerous because it keeps making the company lose money. And anything that makes the company lose money is bad. Like, that's not safe. That's like, no, that's dangerous. But in their, like I told you, they're stupid. So in their minds, this is safe. This is great. I'm sure they're like, oh, you did a great job on that one, didn't you, Dob? Oh, yeah, you did, Jimmy. It was a great one. Or is it Sally and Sarah? Maybe it's Sally and Sarah because you got to be inclusive, right? So I'm sorry.
You can see frame rate issues, texture issues, poor collision detection, weapons clipping through characters, and more. Controversies aside, this game doesn't look like it's ready for launch, and in fact, its developer just recently came out and canceled their appearance at Tokyo Game Show and announced that the game would be delayed until February.
Of course they did. Oh, I wish they did. They would have went to the game show. They would have been utterly. Well, actually, I don't think the Japanese would have done that to them. But if it was a different place, they would have been utterly humiliated, right? And I can't believe they had the gall and nerve thinking that they could go to the Japanese game show and showcase that that trash. And tell them, hey, I'm sure the Japanese people are happy because of this, right?
Along with the delay, Ubisoft CEO recently issued a memo to their employees that ended up getting leaked publicly, and it showcases just how out of touch this company is with their players. Rather than acknowledging their real missteps, they're clinging to critic scores, pointing out Star Wars Outlaws had a solid 76 on Metacritic. Oh, I didn't know that you were trying to sell the game to game reviewers. That makes a lot of sense, seeing as though that you're completely ignoring player feedback that...
They're just, well, I can't keep on saying it, right? You can try and teach a chicken how to do anything other than peck the floor, but it doesn't mean it's going to learn.
Clearly shows that your game is hovering in mediocrity. Even worse, they believe that Black Friday sales are somehow going to magically turn things around.
That's so stupid. Because the game is coming out next year. Wait, no, it was set to come out in November, right? They thought that the Black Friday sales was gonna help. Are they stupid? Wait, so what was the thought process? The thought process was that they were gonna release the game and then on Black Friday sell it at a discounted price so that they can somehow try and even recoup half of what they've lost. I'm guessing this is what they thought was a good idea, baby. It's not that bad of an idea. But when we see what Shadows actually is, it's a really bad idea. Because I think even if you've given this game out for free, no one would buy it. Essentially, there'll be a couple thousand people who download the game, right, to see what the hell it is because it's for free, right? So let's try it out. And then when they see the slop, they're gonna try and erase that shit, and they won't even probably go into the metadata of their computer and erase it.
Realizing that no amount of discounting will make up for a product that fundamentally misses the mark and nobody's interested in. The memo reads more like a corporate spin than a genuine reflection of failure. No mention of the controversies or deeper issues that are plaguing the company. They talk about how all players want are highly polished games on launch day, when the truth is players are craving meaningful, risk-taking, authentic content, things that Ubisoft hasn't seen in decades.
Nah, see, Ubisoft is still in the thought process that all the players crave are electrolytes. Because, that's what players crave.
Even in their own memo to their own employees, they can't speak frankly about their mistakes. This sanitized messaging shows just how deeply disconnected the company is from the people that it should be listening to, the players. Interested in the perspective of the employees who received this memo, I had a few questions on their thoughts of the messaging and the leadership of the company. I asked, what has been the message from management to the staff about Ubisoft's declining sales? What do they believe is the reason behind it? They responded, the fun fact is they don't talk much about it. They mainly...
Yeah, why would they talk about it? They're stupid. And so how do you deal with a problem when you're stupid? You don't talk about it because it doesn't exist anymore. Don't worry, if we get past it, it's not a failure anymore, right? You forget these people aren't even in reality. They're all in their little fantasy land that they think that they control. And everyone else has to be part of their fantasy land. And because of that, there is no failures in fantasy land. Remember that. There are no failures in Fantasyland. And if there are any failures in reality, well, that's not part of their Fantasyland. So who has to even entertain that?
focus on the fact that they reach their financial objectives, which are mainly achieved through casual player sales, not the vocal gamer minority that are sick of what you described in your video. Also, something to know is that through the years, the number of management floors has increased to ridiculous amounts. So communication is often blurry unless they come directly from HQ, and even then, it's almost entirely corpo bullshit that isn't useful in the end.
So what happened to us actually putting content in the game? Well, the industry and such is a little aged now, and we're trying to be a little safe on what we approach it by and how we go about doing such things are how we think about them. It's probably the bullshit they're listening to when they're trying to get any type of message from upstairs, right? I don't understand. It doesn't work in the government. Why would they think that if they put more bureaucracy in the company, if they put more middlemen, if they stack middlemen on a straight line, that somehow it's going to get to the top when you ask all the middlemen for the same question? What the hell? It doesn't even happen with... Why do you think myths and other things exist? Why do you think when you play the telephone game, you get a different answer all the way at the end? Less bureaucracy is always good for management because the message will always be between you and the employee instead of the next manager, and then the next manager has to give the message to the other manager, and then the other manager has to give the message to the next manager, and that manager can finally talk to the head honcho who's overseeing the entire team. What the hell? That's so stupid. And so that manager can get back to the executive and can tell him what's happening. You think the message is going to be the same anymore? Of course not. The message is totally different. It's probably doesn't even look the same anymore. And
I asked another employee to verify the increase in management at the company, fearing that this is likely one of the biggest issues that's facing the company, seeing that lack of clear and creative vision. They painted a picture of a company that's not only overrun with management, but that's passively aggressive about removing higher paid and talented employees while slotting in underskilled and unexperienced management at a cheaper rate. They claim that
That's so stupid. Oh my god, how could you do something like that? That sounds like a very, very bad idea. Like, just thinking about it, right? Because don't get me wrong, you get to save money at the end of the day, but at what cost? Well, obviously at the cost of the quality of the games, right? Because you keep on low, so you rip off people, talented people, who are at the low levels actually developing the game. And then you have these nincompoops at the top who are stupid, and you can pay them a little less than the last guy. Okay, you're saving money, but what are you losing out? You're losing out a lot more than if you just hired an incompetent, designer, because at least you can fix his bullshit. But you can't even fix that if it gets to the managerial level, because then the executive has to come in. But then if they've added more managers, it's going to be harder to deal with, because now instead of it just being the final say of the head honcho and him knowing from just one guy, he's getting now 5 different opinions from some. Just thinking, it sounds stupid just thinking about it.
that Ubisoft as an employer shows little regard for their developers. What happens in practice is that they essentially push out senior engineers, promoting junior engineers to senior roles after just a few years of experience, oftentimes with experience in just one engine. Meanwhile,
that's stupid. That's like asking for your company to fall.
Experienced developers with far broader skill sets are being overlooked. This constant
Of course, because the ones that with far broader skill sets probably don't agree with the same ideas because they actually think.
cycle of turnover with inexperienced leaders leads to noticeable drops in quality, with bugs appearing in their games. The passionate, dedicated developers leave, while those who are just going through the motions stay behind. This doesn't just affect the technical quality of their games, but also impacts the design and creativity. For instance, you'll find designers working on FPS mechanics who have never played an FPS game before.
Oh my god, that's so bad. How haven't they played an FPS game yet? What the fuck are they doing? I think to have a requisite for being in this in like Ubisoft should be that you've played every type of genre of game, right? And you've played them deeply. Or if not, you need to go do that like now. Like we'll take some time off. We'll have Bob take over for you. Go play some games, and then come back and put what you've learned to the test. I would even create a program for that, right? So that at least we can have these people building, in a company at least, right? If I was part of the leadership, what I would do is I'd put a special program in that they'll pay these guys to go and play some games, because actively playing games is going to actively help them become more creative. Not only that, but understand the fundamentals for all these genres, so that they have foundational skills in what they need to code. Like, come on, it's that fucking simple. But if they're making games they've never even played, how the fuck do you expect them to make anything other than shit? They come up with shitty ideas because they've never put their hands on these games. It's like having an idiot who's never played a board game before try and make one. Will it even be a board game anymore? Will there be a board? Or they'll just be pieces. And even if they had pieces, would those pieces be doing anything if they don't have a board? Like, come on.
Or engineers who don't understand how the mechanics they're building are supposed to feel. There's a lack of passion and skill across the board, and the results are obvious. That line about designers working on FPS games and leading FPS projects struck a chord with me. Not long ago, Ubisoft released X-Defiant, a military shooter that was meant to compete with the likes of Call of Duty. However, since the game's release, they've lost the vast majority of their player base, with Ubisoft claiming that the game isn't dying, despite it reportedly losing 94% of its players on Xbox. Why is X-Defiant ran into so many issues? Netcode, hit registration, and general shooter gameplay issues. Common problems that are normal.
Yeah, see, foundational issues that they would have knew the answers to if they played any FPS games. But they didn't play any. So how the hell are they gonna know? Like, just put fucking Wolfenstein in their hands and let them play that or something. Like, what the fuck? Like, you need to they need to be playing the games that they're making, or playing the same genre, right? Because otherwise they don't even know anything. Like, it's just like if you try to make them make an RTS game if they've never even played one. I can't even imagine if an RTS game would come out. Maybe they would, because they'll have the senior members tell them, oh well, this is how a RTS game kind of it kind of has these things. And I bet you, because they don't want to get fired, they kind of like just shake their head. Yeah, we know how to do this.
Normally ironed out well before a game ever hits the market, especially a shooter. It's core to the gameplay. If you're playing,
not only that, but I want to also bring this up. Like, these guys are stressed out of their minds because they don't want to say anything wrong. How do you even expect them to make a good game? Like, they're not even worried about the game. They're worried about their damn job. Oh my god.
playing a live service shooter, all you do is shoot. That's the gameplay. But when the shooting doesn't work, you don't have a game. Ubisoft's leadership is completely disconnected from the reality of game development and player expectations. The problems stem from a bloated management structure that's prioritizing reaching financial targets through casual player sales, rather than listening to the core gaming community that's sick of their tired formulas. Even their own developers are frustrated as they watch as talented senior engineers are pushed out of the studios and inexperienced juniors are promoted far too quickly, leading to a noticeable drop in quality. It's no wonder their games are riddled with bugs and lack any real innovation. This company is more focused on appearance.
Well, how the hell can they innovate on something they've never played before? Not only that, but they're also stupid. It's just like asking them to be a 2-star general when they're not even a general at all.
Rather than creating meaningful, engaging content. The quality of their games doesn't matter as long as they aren't offending anyone. When you see the issues that plague Assassin's Creed Shadows, the pandering, the generic virtue, the lies, the cover-ups, and the...
Well, that's the problem, right? They seek to never offend, but they're offending all the players. They're literally offending all the players with their slop trash. So it's not even safe, really. Because, offense is subjective. And of course, they're willing to offend everybody, just to try and offend imaginary nobodies.
Lack of understanding of what they're apparently inspired by. When you see how safe and tame, how boring, buggy, and soulless Star Wars Outlaws is, when you see how their most anticipated shooter in X-Defiant is riddled with the most common issues, bugs, all kinds of different things that normal shooters would never have on day one, that's made by developers and led by developers that haven't even played an FPS game, you see a studio and a publisher that lacks integrity and a spine. Cowards in leadership roles, afraid to loosen their grip on the wheel. Developers afraid to speak out and unable to express any of their creativity. Franchises destined for obscurity. Ubisoft isn't just losing its way, it's already lost. And the only thing left is to watch it burn. You know, it's crazy to speculate about these kind of things, but it's an entirely different beast to find out what you've been believing this entire time is absolutely true. And I want to take the time to thank the developers that reached out to me. It was daring for them to do something like that. Obviously,
yeah, give them major props. Like, obviously, there are gonna be some gems in a place full of dirt, right? So,
their identities are being kept secret for very obvious reasons. Most of these folks could lose their job over having these kind of discussions, but
which is just like, it's sad, right? You can't even discuss the fact that, like, the leadership is utterly incompetent.
keep in mind, what's really sad about this is that there are developers that are working at these studios that want to see things change, that want to fix things, that see these obvious issues, but they're not allowed to do anything about it. That sucks. It's something that all of us can empathize with. I'm pretty sure that anybody that's watching this video right now has likely worked with some level of management that took them in the wrong direction, and led them down the wrong path. You know, the biggest issue for Ubisoft is that the damage is already done. Their brand...
They're done, man. They let, like I said, it should have been 3 strikes or out. But instead, they allowed it to get the 5 to 6 strikes or even almost 10 strikes.
Is already torched. Their name and their reputation is in shambles by now. And looking and seeing that they...
Oh, look at Mr. Cat.
Have pushed back Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's for obvious reasons. While they're going to say that it's for fixing issues in the game, there's issues that we saw in the trailers, so that's totally believable. The game likely does need more time in the oven more than anything else, but outside of that, I really think it's just them trying to distance it from all of the bad press, because
they're not going to be able to avoid that. Like, this is the kind of stain. This is like putting bleach on black clothes. It's not getting out, man. It's like it's not coming off. I think you need to buy a new one.
There's a lot of people that have been talking about Ubisoft. There's a lot of people that have been talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it doesn't look good. And pushing it all the way to February, I don't think any of that's going to change anything. If anything, seeing how often they like to put their own foot in their mouth when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, you're just giving me and a bunch of other content creators more time to farm you more than anything.
Seriously, right? They're good farming material. Maybe let's hope that they produce good fertilizer for our soils.
Else, I was talking to one of the developers about the delay, and they're like, one of the things that really confused the whole group of developers is that they're like, well, we need more time to fix bugs and issues, but we're also going to add more quests and side content. They're like, those two things don't have anything to do with one another. And
well, obviously they don't. I don't know how much times I have to mention it. These guys, they're idiots. They're stupid people. They don't know what categories are, or the differences between a quest and bug fixing. They live in their own little bubble. How the hell would they know what those things are? They probably aren't even part of their fantasies. Their only fantasy is making another gay quest or something. Like,
one creates more issues. This doesn't make any sense. And also, you push it to February, the month that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Monster Hunter Wilds release.
Yeah, no one's playing.
You're cooked.
Yeah, no one's gonna play this game. I can't believe they pushed it till then. They're stupid. Oh, look, he has a Helsing. It's awesome.
What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know, man. I want to thank everybody. Thank you guys for watching the last video as well. It was my first 1 million view video. That's just a wild achievement. One that
Hey, man, you should be proud, man. You did really good work. I watched the last video too. It was good. And I watched I watched it technically 2 times because I watched Asmongold cover it as well. So that was good. Yeah.
That I wasn't really sure that I'd ever be able to achieve, and you guys made that possible, so thank you guys for that. Again, if it wasn't for your guys' support, stories like these wouldn't be able to come out. I hope I get to do more stuff like this. And
okay, I think he's done. Man, thank you for the video. You guys should, anyone who's watching, you guys should go down below and go watch his video. He's he's a really fucking good YouTuber. Legendary Drops is his name. Give him a shout out. Give him a shout out. This is not Twitch. Ooh. Well, who cares? All right. You can like, subscribe, do whatever the hell you want. If you got to this point in the video, you probably won't. But like, who cares? I just wanted to cover this, and I did. Who cares? All right. All right. Bye. Thank you for coming by. It's gotten too long. It's an hour. All right. Peace.